lot of great things went on last night. How about the stolen base by Deanna Navarro? First stolen base since 2009, his 11th career stolen base. The Astros trying to salvage the final game of this 3-game series. Blue Jays looking for the sweep. Will Porter will set this lineup up against Ari Dickey. Dexter fouling Alex Presley. He has a 5-game hit streak. He is 5 for 19. Presley had a home run in the 6th inning against Brandon Morrow last night. And then right down in that cleanup spot, Jose Altuve, and he has shown that he can swing the bat. He is 4 for 9, and he hit that shot off Steve Delabar last night, knocked him out of the ball game. This is a young lineup, but there are some key hitters, including Chris Carter, looking for his first home run of the season.
Youngest lineup in baseball roster, and that's the lineup that R.A. Dickey will face tonight. He gets ready for his 3rd start of the season, 8th career start versus the Houston Astros, and he was good his last time out. His velocity was so much better. He had late life again on that knuckleball. He had his troubles against Tampa Bay when he was babying the ball, just trying to throw it for strikes. He said, forget that, I'm going to just attack the strike zone. Did just that. His strike percentage was higher his last time out. And the Blue Jays have the right man, I think, in the right spot to go for their first sweep.
Yep, they're trying to wrap up this series, and Dickey will try to get ahead of these young hitters. In the outfield, it's Cabrera, Rasmus, and Bautista. That's the everyday lineup we have seen so far this season. On the infield, Laurie is at 3rd. Jonathan Diaz has done a terrific job filling in for the injured Jose Reyes. Meiser Astros off to a great start with the glove as well as the bat. Edwin Encarnacion's played great at first base, and Josh Tolley is the caddy for R.A. Dickey, who won the Gold Glove last year.
And Colby Rasmus has played some great center field on this homestand. He's made some great plays going back on a lot of balls over his head. He's also already has 2 outfield assists this season, no errors. He's looked good in center.
He had 1 outfield assist all season a year ago, throwing the ball very well early on. Dexter Fowler. He was 1 for 3 with a walk in last night's game. He goes after the first pitch and trying to stop halfway around. So we're going to keep an eye on Dickey's velocity, and that was a big key for him last time out against the Yankees. When he got that knuckleball up around 80 miles an hour, that's when he seems to be most effective. Plus, he gets the separation between that firm knuckleball and the slow one that moves a lot. That's a pretty good pitch. Didn't get the call.
Would have been a strike last night. We had a great strike zone last night from Jerry Lane, but you're right. That was right on the inside corner.
Ball and a strike, and he throws it right in the same spot. Now, we talk about the catcher, how difficult it is to catch. Then the hitter, of course, how tough it is to hit. But how about the umpire? He has timing issues as well. On the ground, Astros backs up a couple of steps and throws to first, 1 down.
I think when you have that velocity early in the game, I think you can always back off of it a little bit more. I think it's harder to do it the other way. Baby it early in the game and just try and throw it for strikes, and then when you need a strike or a big pitch to amp it up just a little bit, I think it's harder to do that.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think he wants to come out and establish that he can throw that firm one in that strike zone, and then he can adjust accordingly as the game goes on. Alex Presley hit a 2-run homer in the 6th in last night's game. But we're talking about the umpire and the timing. Umpires work on timing just like hitters. And they get set, you'll watch how they crouch down, and all of a sudden they anticipate that ball coming into the strike zone. Well, Dickey presents a new set of challenges. Not only is it slower, but obviously it darts in and out of the zone, and Hunter Wendelstedt behind the plate. He's got to really focus, making sure that you don't call it too quickly. But like I said, timing is a factor, an important one for umpires as well.
For R.A. Dickey, he's hoping for some late movement on those pitches.
0-2, 1 out. Cut on and miss. Presley strikes out. 2 up, 2 down to start the ball game.
Well, you want to talk about some late life. There was some late life right there. What I mean by that, as a hitter, you see the ball coming towards home plate. It's there, and watch this ball just dive right at the end of the pitch, right underneath the glove. That's what the knuckleball's supposed to do. Late life and keep it in the strike zone.
Jason Castro, the number 3 hitter. He's been behind the plate for all 3 of these games in this series. He goes out to that first pitch and right at 79 miles an hour. That's the sweet spot for that Mickey knuckleball, 79 to 81.
He can start off at that miles per hour, 78, 79, maybe hit it up to 80 and can take something off later on.
Bouncing ball, big hop for Encarnacion. Dickey sets down the Astros in order. Takes him just 9 pitches to retire the side. Now it's up to the offense to get something going. Take a look at the Blue Jays lineup. Melky Cabrera, top of the order, has hit in all 9 games so far this season, and he leads the team with 13 hits. It's the same way he did in spring training. He led baseball with 30 hits during the spring. Deanna Navarro's the DH tonight. He's got a mini 4-game hit streak in which he's gone 6 for 16. 4 doubles and 4 RBIs. He's had some good at-bats. They're going to get their first look of the season at Dallas Keuchel. This will be his 2nd start for Houston.
Originally a 7th-round draft pick in 2009 out of the University of Arkansas, Dallas Keuchel is 26 years old. Last season against the Blue Jays, 2 starts, he was 1-0 against Toronto. 1 real good one and 1 real bad one. Doesn't throw very hard. You got to be careful that you don't get out there and roll over on some of those pitches.
The Astros have a lot of speed in the outfield. Robbie Grossman, Dexter Fowler, and Alex Presley from left to right. Matt Dominguez had a rough night in the field last night with a couple of errors. VR and Altuve up the middle. Mark Krause is the first baseman. And Jason Castro been behind the plate all 3 games in this series.
And he is a fine fielding third baseman, has a reputation of a good fielding third baseman. A couple of errors last night led to a couple of unearned runs.
Dominguez committed just 16 errors all season long a year ago. So that was kind of an exceptional night for him. He made 149 starts at third for the Astros last year. Melky Cabrera, 1-1. There's a base hit for Cabrera inside the bag. Robbie Grossman over quickly. He's going to hustle it back in. Cabrera gets in with a stand-up double. Melky Cabrera, a 10-game hit streak. He got that out of the way early.
He is just running so much better, and I think when you've got your legs underneath you and you're healthy, you're going to swing the bat a lot better, and that's exactly what he's doing. That looked like a ball down and in, and you can see how much better he is running this year than what we saw last year. Reach out, get the ball between the third baseman and the bag. Extra bases, good start for the Blue Jays.
Nobody out, man at second. Cabrera with his first double of the season. Meiser Astros, a switch hitter batting right-handed against Dallas Keuchel. Astros shows bunt, and it's a beauty. Keuchel off the mound will make the play at first, and Astros executes perfectly. Let's go back to the Melky Cabrera base hit. And we're going to focus on the third baseman. Watch Dominguez as he gets set up. He's going to move to his left, obviously thinking the ball was going to be away. And that takes him completely out of the play on that double down the third base line.
And that looked like a breaking ball, too, which is kind of strange to see him leaning to his left.
So the Blue Jays, a chance to jump out on top. Cabrera just 90 feet away for Jose Bautista. Takes the first pitch strike. Four homers and 6 RBIs. Bautista has also done a terrific job of reaching base. Pops this one up. Mark Krause into foul territory, gets there, and Bautista pops out to first.
Well, let's take a little closer look at tonight's starter for the Houston Astros, Dallas Keuchel. His pitch usage last year, fastball a little over half the time, little slider, changeup, cutter, curveball, so he's got a little bit of everything. He's going to try and run that cutter in on the right-handers and then turn that changeup over, down and away. Again, he had one really good start against the Blue Jays and one really bad one here. And he won that game even though he gave up 6 runs in 7 1/3 innings.
Edwin Encarnacion with 2 outs and a man at third. Bounces the ball toward third. Big hop for Matt Dominguez, and Dallas Keuchel gets out of a tough situation. Takes him just 7 pitches to leave a runner at third base. It's scoreless after 1. Put in a lot of hard work this season in spring training, trying to avoid a slow start like last year, and so far so good.
Let's contrast his first 2 starts of this season with last year. You can see in 2013 the opponent's batting average is up to 326, 238 this year. Home runs allowed, and that's the key for him. Last year he gave up 3 in his first 2 starts. He has yet to give up a home run this year. 35 all of last season was the most that he had given up in his career. He's keeping the ball in the ballpark, and he's got better movement on his pitches.
He jumps ahead of the cleanup hitter, Jose Altuve. Altuve pulls it foul. I tell you one thing. Jose Altuve's not up there trying to flare it into right. He takes a healthy cut. Altuve knocked Delabar out of the game last night in the 9th inning when he hit that comebacker off his leg.
Yeah, a seed. He also tripled over the head of Colby Rasmus in right center field. There's Steve. Got an update on him, don't you?
Yeah, he got hit in the calf, and he didn't get hit on the knee or in the bone, so he expects to be okay. This is a high fly ball to right. Bautista moving to his left. Gets there, and Altuve is retiring.
Well, this is what we were talking about. This was a scary moment right here. A fastball, and it's in a position where Steve just couldn't bend over and get leather on it. It hits him square right in the right, well, below the knee, in the calf area. If that gets bone, I've seen fractures in the knee joint and areas like that, but he says he iced it all day and all night last night, kept it elevated. Don't think he's going to pitch today.
Yeah, he'll probably not pitch today. Just keep off that leg, and he hopes to feel better tomorrow and be active for the Orioles series in Baltimore, but he's not going to be headed for the DL, and that's great news. Chris Carter fouls first 2 pitches back out of play, and Dickey is pounding that strike zone early.
You know, it looks like the Houston Astros watched the game plan of the Tampa Bay Rays when we saw them. They were up there hacking early, and it seems like the Astros are doing the same thing.
Quite a challenge for the Astro hitters after dealing with Morrow's 98-mile-an-hour fastball last night. That got totally inside the right leg. But talk about it from a hitter's perspective. Here you play against Morrow. He strikes out 9 in 5 innings. He's throwing 98. What kind of adjustments can a hitter make when you're trying to deal with an 80-mile-an-hour knuckler?
Swing and hope, you know.
There's another fly ball. Cabrera, he has it measured in left. 2 fly ball outs here in the second.
Blue Jays on Sportsnet. Brought to you by the 2014 Honda CR-V. Honda, proud to be the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays. And by Home Hardware. Homeowners helping homeowners with expert advice.
I think John Gibbons did a great job in inserting R.A. Dickey between Brandon Morrow and Dustin McGowan through 2 hard-throwing right-handers. And it is tough. It's tough for a hitter when you're facing a guy who throws as hard as Morrow. Your approach is a little bit different. You're going to try and stay short, and you don't have a whole lot of time to react to the ball. Against Dickey, you don't know where the ball's going to go. You might get long because the ball takes so much longer to get to the plate.
McGowan will open up the series against the Orioles. Tomorrow night he'll be opposed by Chris Tillman for Baltimore. So he was pushed back an extra day. And this move has nothing to do with the indoor atmosphere of Rogers Center or Dickey matching up better against Houston. It's all about the bullpen. Trying to conserve the bullpen as much as you can. By putting Dickey in between Morrow and McGowan, you expect Dickey's going to give you 7, 8, maybe even 9 innings, and that would give the bullpen a night off, which you really want before you start a new series against a different team.
Well, let's look at the first time through. McGowan, Dustin just went 2 2/3 innings, and Morrow went 5. The bullpen really had to cover a lot of innings when those 2 are back-to-back.
Ball 4. That was a pretty good knuckleball that danced out of the zone right at the last minute. So the Astros have their first base runner. Krause takes a 2-out walk. Matt Dominguez 3 for 28 in the early going. Hitting him .07, 107 for this season. Dominguez has some power. He's got a pair of home runs. I think you're right on picking up on the fact that Houston wants to get that first pitch knuckleball and try to stay away from that wicked one with 2 strikes.
And that's a good approach. We've seen that with other teams against RA. Try to stay aggressive. His approach, and I thought he threw a few more fastballs his last game against the New York Yankees and tied up some of those Yankee hitters. Surprised them.
Well, after his first start, his side session was much better. He was aggressive, and he had better sink on his fastball, which is key to his success when he uses that.
Boy, that's the truth. You know, he only throws that about 10% of the time. But if you throw soft knuckleball, then a little sinker and surprise him, and then the hard knuckleball, that's been the recipe for him in his career as a knuckleball pitcher.
2-1. Ball 3. Josh Tolle, who has caught R.A. Dickey more than anyone, has an interesting theory about using the fastball. He says, I don't really like to use it 3-1. I'll use it 3-2 more than 3-1. It's kind of interesting take. And there's a 3-1 knuckleball.
Well, this will be really interesting to see what happens here now. 3-2 right after a very good knuckleball right there. Totally signaling to everybody the play is going to be over at first base with the runner taking off at first.
Encarnacion backs up behind Mark Krause at first base. Full count, 2 outs. Another knuckleball that one missed inside. Back-to-back 2-out walks here in the second. Well, there's no question about the movement of that knuckler tonight. He's got it dancing. So much so that he has walked back-to-back hitters here in the second. Number 8 hitter is Robbie Grossman. There's some ugly numbers in baseball, not just in this ball game, but a lot of guys trying to get things going, get the timing down early in the season. Robbie Grossman just 2 for 32.
Hey, good hitters with some bad numbers. Bryce Harper hit his first home run yesterday, and he's an excellent hitter.
Another good knuckleball. Well, I tell you what, it's moving. It seems to be moving even more dramatically tonight than it was against the Yankees. Don't you like that when people say, well, you know, the baseball movement, that's just an optical illusion?
No, it's not. You go up there and try and hit it. The one thing he did against the Yankees a little bit better than the Tampa Bay Ray game was he got called strike percentage on the knuckleball. Look at this thing. Barely any movement, and it floats right underneath the bat.
1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Sailed up and in. It's 2-2. Here's where you might want to take a shot with the fastball. See if you can't get something in on the hands of Grossman and try to get out of this inning on the 2-2 pitch. Another knuckler outside. It's a full count. Dickey retired the first 2 to start this inning, then walked Mark Krause. He's now at second because Matt Dominguez, he too took a 2-out walk. Full count. Runners will be off on the pitch. Dickey chases Krause back at second. You saw Jonathan Villar, the number 9 hitter. He's on deck. Bouncing ball. Easy play, and Dickey will get out of it. The Astros get a couple of 2-out walks, but Strand and Perry will go to the bottom of the second. Still a scoreless game. Last night as the catcher, he had the hit and run on, and the throw from the Astros catcher was off the mark, and Navarro gets a stolen base, much to the pleasure of his teammates. Look at Reyes. You're an attaboy. How about that? Navarro has one more stolen base than Jose Reyes.
And that's why Jose was so excited. Hey, Deanna stole 5 bases in 2009 when he was with Tampa Bay. 5 bags in one season.
Deanna Navarro's brought a nice personality to the ball club, and there's another great personality. Anxious to see him play, and he's moving around pretty good.
Yeah.
He's been taking ground balls here during batting practice and got a little extra hop in his step.
Saw him running this afternoon. He was doing some exercises out in the outfield where he was running and cutting, and that was really good sign. He's going to run the bases while the team is in Baltimore. And then I think it's out on a rehab to get some timing with the bat.
Navarro, switch hitter, hitting from the right side. High fly ball to center field. Dexter Fowler can cover some ground. 1 down. That'll bring Brett Lawrie to the plate. He had a big night last night. Got his first homer of the season.
Got a ball that was up and did his homework. Went up there, recognized it, and got himself a big base hit. That is a good shot. And maybe he starts building off of that and getting himself into a nice little hot streak.
Off the end of the bat, Kraus feeds Keuchel, and Lawrie is retired on 1 pitch. Keuchel did a nice job of getting out of a situation in the first to give up the leadoff double to Cabrera. Then the Stewart bunted Cabrera to third. Keuchel got Bautista to the pop-up and Encarnacion to ground out. That ended the inning.
Not overpowering, so I don't think you need to look for that number 1, but he'll move the ball around the strike zone. He's got very good command. He's got an outstanding ground ball ratio. One of the best in the American League, so it's tough to lift the ball against Dallas Keuchel.
There's a breaking ball. That breaking ball comes out of his hand about belt high. Chances are it's going to break out of the zone.
That was a great example of it right there. That looked like it was going to be right at the thigh for Colby Rasmus, and it ended up in the dirt.
Upstairs, he wanted to change his eye level. Made him look upstairs, and after throwing that curveball down and away, pretty good approach. Bounce that one in the dirt. You mentioned the great start Keuchel had against the Blue Jays. That was in Houston last August. He was matched up against Mark Burley, and Keuchel 7 strong innings, 4 hits. He shut out the Blue Jays over those 7 innings. Moises Sierra, Kevin Pillar, and Ryan Goins were all in the lineup for that game, but the Blue Jays came back and won it with 2 1/9. Blue Jays were out hit by Houston 8-6, but won the ball game in the 9th. Catcher Josh Tolley stands on deck. Cut on and miss. Keuchel sets down the Blue Jays in order, strikes out Rasmus. That's his first strikeout of the night. We'll head to the 3rd. Still no score. Saw a little demonstration with that basketball, then reached in his pocket. He was all set for the first pitch. He makes a pretty good toss to Mark Burley. The Globetrotters are in town, and what a storied history they've had. Abe Saperstein started the Globetrotters in Chicago in 1926, and then they became the Harlem Globetrotters because at the time that was the center of black culture in America. And it's interesting, it took them 4 decades before they ever played a home game in Harlem. They didn't play in Harlem until 1968.
Have they ever lost a game?
No. Washington Generals?
I think they beat them one time.
I think they did. You're right. There's a high fly ball. That'll stay in the ballpark. Melky Cabrera's got plenty of room. Jonathan VR is the first out of the third.
Interesting, VR batting right-handed against R.A. Dickey.
You'll see all sorts of different approaches trying to solve the knuckleball, and VR is a switch hitter batting right-handed. It's his natural side, so felt a little more comfortable. So that'll turn the lineup over. Dickey has allowed 2 walks. Only 2 base runners to reach base. Leadoff man Dexter Fowler grounded out to second. Start the game.
Gotten off to a good start, doing what he needs to do for this team. Get on base and score runs.
Well, there's a Gold Glove of R.A. Dickey. He was able to catch that broken bat line drive back to the mound and avoid the barrel of that bat. Dickey won the Gold Glove last year, his first.
He beat out his teammate. How about the quick reactions on that one? Right back through the middle, Gold Glove winner.
Well, both Dickey and Burley knew something in common that's led to those 5 Gold Gloves, is they finish up in a very good fielding position because neither one of them is concerned about velocity. They finish up square to the plate, and that allows them to field their position very well.
You know what else they do? They work at it. R.A. Dickey will get in spring training and go in those back fields and take fungo after fungo off the bat to improve his fielding.
Hey, you saw Mark Burley sitting down in bullpen, and don't be alarmed, he is still going to start.
Just changing it up a little bit today, huh?
Keeping things light. He is much more comfortable. This is his second year here. Not that he was uncomfortable a year ago, but he's certainly taken more of a veteran leadership role.
Well, you know how it is when you change teams. I mean, you kind of want to be the quiet guy when you first get there, and you don't want to be boisterous. You just want to fit in early.
Yeah, you don't want to step on anybody's toes when you're joining a new ball club, and he's had to do that in 2 of the last 3 years. 1 and 2, 2 outs. Cut on and missed. Presley strikes out. Tolley retrieves the baseball and tags him out. Good inning for R.A. Dickey. Tires aside and ordered. We'll go to the bottom of the third. Tolley will lead things off. They're in their second year in the American League. They have a rich tradition of winning in the National League. They've had a couple of down years, but you can't forget about their storied past. They've had a lot of great players that have worn the Astros uniform over the years. Of course, Roger Clemens grew up in Houston. The great Nolan Ryan in '81 had a 1.69 ERA. And how about J.R. Richard? 1.90 ERA in 1980, and he could absolutely bring it.
Probably the most feared pitcher in the National League when he was on. J.R. Richard was about 6'8" and threw about 150.
At least 150 with a wicked slider, about 110.
You know what? Those three were not the only good pitchers. How about Mike Scott?
Mike Scott was a great pitcher for the Astros for a long time. In the 80s, he pitched in those playoff games. Hit hard, but right to the third baseman. Josh Tolley is retired.
Astros always had great pitchers. Joaquin Andahar, Joe Negro, Darryl Kyle, Billy Wagner, Roy Oswalt. I mean, this team was always built around great pitching staffs.
Had a great closer in 2005 in Brad Lidge. They had a good bullpen, obviously. They went to the World Series, and they were swept by Mark Burley and his Chicago White Sox. Jonathan Diaz, the shortstop, batting ninth. Jonathan is 3 for 16 so far this season. Got 3 ribbies. There's that cutter that Seitzer has scouted so effectively. Told his hitters, hey, the right-handed hitters are going to get that cutter right in on their hands.
So you're going to have to make a decision. Take it, because it looks like it's cutting off the plate right now. Force him out over the plate. It's not hard. It's not a blazer, but it's just in a good spot.
Change up, bounced in the dirt. You know, there's no formula for what makes a successful hitting coach. Kevin Long in New York does a great job with the Yankees. Derek Shelton's in Tampa Bay. Kevin Seitzer had a great run in Kansas City. Had Melky Cabrera when they were both with the Royals. But there is no template. I think the biggest thing, and I'll ask you, Pat, the biggest thing for me is trust. The hitters trust Kevin Seitzer, and they buy what he's selling.
Don't you think hard work and being prepared for the game with that pitcher give as much information as possible?
That's bounced off home. Keuchel barehands it, and the ball's in the dirt. That should be an infield hit for Jonathan Diaz. Boy, Keuchel made a heck of a play. He recognized that he waited so long he wasn't going to have time to use his glove. He barehanded it. They're going to charge him with an error, and I don't agree with that at all. This is an exceptional play. It's bang bang at first, but look at the effort by Keuchel.
Barehanded and throw, turn and throw. If the ball bounced, not sure if the ball bounced in the dirt, but being at home, that should be an infield hit.
I agree with you.
I'm not writing anything down just yet.
Well, there you go.
They might change that one.
Making a stand. Back to the top of the order. Melky Cabrera has already doubled tonight. That's his first extra base hit that didn't go out of the ballpark. Four homers and a double so far for Cabrera. Batting .341.
We compared Melky's start to the great year he had in Kansas City when he set career highs in so many offensive categories. 18 home runs. First double you mentioned his last time up. He had 44 that year. 44 two-base hits.
Well, I think that's the real measure of a good hitter. How many doubles you hit? It's consistency. You're hitting the ball hard all over the field.
Yeah, you're not just a pull hitter. If you have a lot of doubles, you're using the gaps and you're hitting it from foul line to foul line.
Bouncing ball. This could be two. VR to Altuve. Back to first. An inning-ending double play. Taylor made double play. Goes 6-4-3, and we'll go to the fourth. Still looking for the first run of the ball game. down there, and then he comes back in a dugout and he checks in with Kevin Seitzer. It looks like Burley is talking about that cut fastball that Heiko might be throwing. Interesting that he and Seitzer are engaged in a pretty heated discussion about that pitch.
It's all about winning with those two guys right there. Mark Burley talking about how he throws the cutter on the inside to right-handers and what to look for. Kevin Seitzer trying to get a game plan from a similar type of pitcher that the Blue Jays are facing tonight.
That's great. Again, Burley in his second season here, a little bit more comfortable going around and say, hey, did you ever think about this? When you're in your first year, you know, you just don't know how guys are going to react to the advice that you have to offer. There's a line drive into center. Jason Castro has the first hit for the Astros.
Blue Jays on Sportsnet, brought to you by the 2014 Honda CR-V. Honda, proud to be the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Final game of a 6-game homestand. Blue Jays will go out on the road after this game tonight. Go to Baltimore. Altuve jumps back from an inside pitch. Jason Castro had the first hit of the game last night off Brandon Morrow. Came with one out in the fourth. Castro has 4 hits for the season, all of them going to center field, trying to get his timing down using the big part of the field, and he's been able to get 4 hits to center.
Good place to start right there. You'll start in the middle of the diamond and then work from there.
Ball and a strike to Altuve. The Astros turned to double play to end the bottom of the third. Blue Jays would love to see a ground ball in this situation. There's the ground ball. Laurie has to wait on it. Takes the high hop. They get the runner at second. Not enough time to try for the double play. Laurie did a good job of not trying to rush it. It really wasn't a tailor-made double play ball, so they get the lead runner at second.
He looks good at third base. He's making all the plays, but he's making the correct plays. And for me, that's just experience. He's out there. He's been there a while now. And he understands when he could try for 2 and when he needs to settle for 1. Just a heads-up play by the Blue Jay third baseman.
Chris Carter flied out to left field. Back in the second.
Got to know your runner also. And Altuve can run, and I don't think he's going to be staying at first base very long.
Looked like he wanted to run. Astros are 7 for 7 as a team stealing bases. Altuve is 3 for 3. Chris Carter's got a lot of pop. You just wonder if they want to take the bat out of Carter's hands in this situation.
Oh, it's a good aggressive lead. Got him.
Boy, R.A. was quick, and you could see Altuve was leaning, and Dickey delivers a strike to first base.
You know what he did? He held the ball a fraction of a second longer, so Altuve would take one more step towards second base, and then he fired over to first base, and that was no contest. Watch him. One more step, and see ya. That's an easy play for Edwin Encarnacion.
Dickey has helped himself out twice. Snared a line drive off the bat of Dexter Fowler, and there he erases the base runner at first. Altuve is picked off.
Well, you just knew he was trying to steal.
Well, Dickey's tough to score on, and the Astros, we mentioned, they're 7 for 7 in steals this year. That will not be categorized as a caught stealing. That's a pickoff by Dickey. 2-1. Well, you wait and you wait and you see that ball out over the plate and you say, oh, I got it. No, it's going to break, and then it catches the inside corner.
You got to be careful with this guy. He's got a lot of power.
2-2 pitch, cut out and missed. R.A. Dickey helps himself out. He picks up a runner at first and strikes out Chris Carter. We go to the bottom of the fourth. 0-0. Comfort zone. Our guest of TD. Great vantage point there in the TD comfort zone, and so far it's a heck of a pitcher's duel. While over in the Jays Care Community Clubhouse, our folks from Youth Assisting Youth. Welcome to the ballpark. They're having a good time. Those score hits are even at 1 apiece, and the Astros have committed the only error of the ballgame. Meister Astros had a sacrifice bunt in the first. Astros is a switch hitter. He's hit .269 versus lefty pitching, .270 against righties.
Looks like a totally different player this year than what we saw last year. He's moving around a lot better. He's hitting the ball better. And he said, you know, quite frankly, when I came over here, I felt a little pressure. I wanted to produce. And that happens. When you try too hard, bad things happen. He ended up hurting his ankle and was out the rest of the season. I believe he hurt it in August.
Curveball. There's that pitch we were talking about. Blue Jays recognize if it's belt high out of his hand, chances are it's going to be low. Kevin Seitzer sent that red flag to his hitters early this afternoon, saying if that curveball goes up, that's the one you want to be ready for, the one that comes up out of his hand. Meister Astros, now 33 years old. He has bounced around. We were in Montreal, and that brought back a lot of good memories for Astros. Made his major league debut there in 2004. Signed originally by the Cleveland Indians in April of '98.
I saw him when he was a young kid in the minor leagues with the Indians. You could just tell that he had big league talent. Got his break when he went over to the Expos.
Full count, cut on and missed. Keuchel with his second strikeout in the ball game. The Astros have some promise. We saw Brett Oberholzer, the left-hander, in the opener. He threw the ball well. Allowed just 3 hits in 5 1/3. Blue Jays took advantage of some wildness. He walked 3, and 2 of those came in to score. Jose Bautista popped up to the first baseman in foul ground back in the first.
Hey, if Jose hits a ground ball to the left side of the infield, it's going to be a race between him and the first baseman. on getting to first. You can see how Krause, the first baseman, how far off the bag he's playing. And I think that's because Jose shot a ball to right field last night.
Hit a ball away while he was facing Lucas Harrell. Got a fastball on the outside part of the plate. Hit it right down the right field line. Hit it hard. 3-0. Ball four. Bautista continues to walk at a high rate. That's his 11th walk so far. This is his 10th game.
Take what they give you. They were just nibbling around the corners on Jose. He didn't bite on any one of them.
Edwin Encarnacion looking for his first homer, his first RBI as well. Grounded out to end the first inning. He's 3 for 6 against Keuchel, the Astros starter.
He's loading up on that back leg, and that's a good sign. Felt early in the year here that he was loading up too much.
High fly ball. Dexter Fowler comes in and makes the catch. 2 down. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership. Blue Jays will wrap up this homestand, and after tonight's game, they'll fly to Baltimore, take on the Orioles for a 3-game set over the weekend. An off day Monday before they take on the Twins beginning Tuesday night, and then they'll finish up the 9-game road trip in Cleveland against Terry Francona's Cleveland Indians. Two outs. Janner Navarro flied out to center field his first time up. Bounced into dirt. It's 2-0. Navarro shows a good eye at the plate. Hadn't struck out yet.
Looks like he's got a nice game plan at the plate. Hits the ball all over the place, and that was the idea when they went out and signed him. He's got a high on-base percentage. He sees a lot of pitches when he's at the plate. He's a switch hitter. He gives you good at-bats. John Gibbons has put him in an RBI spot in the batting order.
It was a low strike. Navarro didn't agree with the call. 2 balls and a strike. Keuchel's done a nice job of keeping the ball out of the middle of the plate so far.
Down and on the corners. It's going to be tough to run on also. He is very quick to home with runner on first base with that slide step.
Boy, there's that cutter. A good one. Right on the corner. So Navarro's got a battle now. He's had a couple of calls go against him in this at-bat. Navarro has 33 at-bats and has yet to strike out. Wouldn't you know it? There's the first strikeout of the season for Navarro. They leave a runner. We'll go to the 5th. Scoreless ball game. Now it's time for Blue Jays Central. Here's Jamie Campbell and Greg Zahn. Rogers Center are honoring Howard Starkman. The 38 represents the number of years of service Howie had with the Toronto Blue Jays. He was the fourth person hired by the Blue Jays, and he was hired on July 4th of 1976. Paul Beeston was the first hire, and Howard Starkman has been here ever since. He was the PR director, and what a terrific job he has done over the years.
That was Howie on the left, and I'll tell you what, we're going to miss him. There's Howie. I'm sure we'll see him around the ballpark. He's retiring, but I'm sure we'll see him.
I was in his office today, and we had a nice chat visiting about his recollections of the years, and he was talking about the three things that stood out in his mind. There's a drive. This is deep to right. Bautista is not going to make a play. It's off the wall. Bautista plays it off the wall. And Mark Krause hits a lead-off double. Krause has walked and doubled so far tonight.
Dickey pitched against the Astros last year. Mark Krause hit a home run off of him. Knuckleball that tumbled over the middle of the plate. He's got some pop. And starts it with a double.
But Howard Starkman has so many memories over the years, and I asked Howie what really stood out, and it was interesting, his response. It wasn't the All-Star game in '91. It wasn't back-to-back World Series. He said the number one thing that he remembers and has great memories of is the 10-homer game. Happened at Exhibition Stadium. He said the reason that stands out is because it's never happened. We're the only team to do it, and he was firsthand, got to see that. Then the other two situations are really interesting. Edwin Encarnacion backhands it. He flips to Dickey, and Dominguez is retired. The other two situations are the top three things that he thinks about. The loss in 1985 to Kansas City in the ALCS after the ball club was up 3-1. He said that one really hurt. We had played well at the end of the '84 season, of course. The Tigers got off to a great start. But a lot of people think that '85 team was the best team ever for the Blue Jays. Overall talent. Of course, they didn't win the World Series like '92 and '93, but it was the first division champs. Bobby Cox was the manager, and the disappointment of losing. And that was the first year they went from a 5-game format to a 7-game format in the championship series.
Wouldn't you know it, the first year. 99 wins, I believe, is still a team record. And Howie has seen it all. I mean, he has been here since day number one, and he has seen all the history of the Blue Jays, and there have been some great moments.
And the third moment that kind of sticks in his craw is '87. Lost 7 games at the end of the year, and the final loss to the Tigers, a 1-0 game in '87. But when he thought about it, that loss in '87 might have led to '89, '91, '92, and '93. Congratulations, Howard Starkman, on a terrific career. We'll see him.
Oh, yeah. He'll be around the ballpark.
He's not going anywhere.
No.
He loves baseball too much. 2-0. Infield is drawn in. We are in the 5th, a scoreless ball game. Robbie Grossman, the left fielder, takes one down and away. This is where Josh Tolley really earns his keep. Got a runner at third base. Dickey continues to trust Tolley's ability to catch that knuckler. Number 9 hitter Jonathan Villar is on deck, and there's a drive deep to right. That's going to score a run, if not more. This ball is gone. Robbie Grossman has hit the ball out of the ballpark. A 2-run home run. His first homer of the season.
Well, I like the fact that Bo Porter gave Grossman, who has been struggling coming into this series, the 3-0 green light with a runner at third base and less than 2 outs. He knows this might be the only pitch that he gets against R.A. Dickey. A tumbling knuckleball once again, head down. He drives it right out of here for his first home run.
When he hit that home run, he was 2 for 33. But you're right. And Dickey knew he was going to have the green light. He threw a knuckleball, but Grossman was able to connect. So the Astros have taken a 2-0 lead in their half of the 5th. Jonathan VR, if you're thinking, hey, he's a switch hitter, you're right. But he has chosen to hit right-handed against RA tonight. The fastball missed. It's 3-0. Three and one. Astros have 3 hits. 2 of them coming in this inning. Leadoff man Dexter Fowler is on deck. Strike 2.
You know what's odd about that is R.A. Dickey's numbers against left-hander have been far superior this year than to the right-handers. And the lefties have got him tonight. All 3 hits by the lefties.
There's a high fly ball into the alley in left center. Rasmus moves over, makes the grab. VR is retired. Second out of the inning. That'll turn the lineup over. Dexter Fowler, the center fielder, will step in the box.
Lefties have been hitting 150 points lower than right-handers this year. And you make a couple of tumbling knuckleballers to the lefties, and that just accentuates the problem.
Dexter Fowler has grounded out and lined out. Two and 0. Dickey had such a consistent knuckleball early in this game. He was throwing a lot of strikes, and now he's just fallen behind as that knuckler continues to dance, but now it's out of the zone. Finds the outside corner. 2 and 1. Mark Krause with a leadoff double, and then 1 out later. Robbie Grossman connected for his first homer of the season. Little flare. This is trouble. It's going to drop in front of Melky Cabrera. He better get it back in. Big turn from Fowler. That's the 3rd hit of the inning. This one comes with 2 outs.
Nothing you can do with that one. Just can't defense it. John Gibbons looking on and just inside outs a knuckleball. Another good one. Inside out swing and just dumps it into left field. Great time to run right here, I think, if you're the Houston Astros. Try and tack on 1 more run.
Fowler was going back toward the bag at first. Remember, Jose Altuve was picked off by Dickey in the 4th. Fowler doesn't have a stolen base yet, but he missed the Angels series. He was out with an intestinal virus. Just now regaining his strength.
Just now starting to eat again.
A little late with that dive back into the bag. Tarek Brock, the first base coach, working on the umpire a little bit over there. Gabe Morales about Dickey as to whether or not he's stepping toward first. Oh, and 2. Oh, and 2. Good time to try to toss it first. You figure it's a good gamble when the hitter's behind 0 and 2. You figure that chances are he's going to make an out, so why not take a chance and see if you can't get a guy in the scoring position.
That's the whole theory about that whole thing right there. And that's why Dickey threw over to first base. Not a huge lead over there by Fowler, and he's getting back easily.
Dives back easily. Good base runners will sometimes shorten up but they'll have more of a one-way lead where they're going toward second. They're not thinking about getting back. He's inched off a little further. Pitch out. Dickey may have tipped his hand as he unloaded that in a hurry, and Josh Tolle had called for the pitch out.
He was flinching again over there at first base, like he wants to try and take off.
One ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs, 2 runs in. Not going. Bouncing ball. Laurie wide of third. Looked at second. There was nobody there. And he has the time to go to first. Encarnacion digs it up. But Houston has broken on top. Robbie Grossman's first home run of the season is a 2-run homer on a 3-0 knuckleball. Playing for the Buffalo Bisons. The Buffalo Bisons will take on the Pawtucket Red Sox April 10th through the 13th, and then after a road trip they'll come home to take on the Louisville Bats. That starts on April 26th and runs through the 29th. For tickets, visit bisons.com. And we are related to the Buffalo Bisons, so we thought we'd go back into history and look at a young Johnny Bench in 1967 playing for the Buffalo Bisons.
How about that? Just 19 years old playing there in Buffalo. An alumni of the Bison.
Hit 23 home runs and drove in 68 runs. As a 19-year-old in Buffalo, that was AAA. He would make his way to the big leagues that year and get a cup of coffee.
And became Rookie of the Year the next year.
Yeah, he was pretty good.
He was pretty good. And you know what? He was not a #1 pick. He was a #2 pick.
Second-round pick, 1965. That Laurie was after that pitch away.
So I guess it begs the question, who was drafted ahead of Johnny Bench by the Cincinnati Reds? And it was Bernie Carbo. Was the #1 pick that year.
Carbo turned out to be a fine player in his own right, but he didn't make it to the Hall of Fame like Johnny Bench. Brett Laurie trying to get something going here in the 5th. Blue Jays trail 2-0. Reaches for that changeup down and away. This is where the Blue Jays really got to dig down deep. They've taken the first 2 games against the Astros. They've got a tough 9-game road trip coming up. You got to win this game. You got to figure out a way to come back and win this game.
Well, first of all, they have to figure out Dallas Keuchel. Right now, he has made pitches against him. He moves the ball in and out.
Bouncing ball, gloved by Dominguez from his knees, makes a terrific play. Laurie robbed of a base hit by Matt Dominguez at third.
Told you he's got the reputation of a pretty good glove over there at third base. Didn't show it in last night's game, but it's here tonight against the left-handed ground ball pitcher. Be on your toes. Cutter right in on the hands of Laurie. What a play by the third baseman. Full extension and a throw on his knees across the diamond.
Matt Dominguez was a former first-round pick of the Florida Marlins. From out of high school in California at Chatsworth High School. And in fact, his teammate was Mike Moustakas, who played third base for that team.
They're both pretty good fielders.
Colby Rasmus puts in charge, and it high and deep and way back. Home run, Rasmus. That'll get you going.
There was a sign in last night's game that Rasmus might be ready to take off. Pitch that he rifled down in the corner last night. Low ball hitter, kept his head down. He had a nice short swing. The timing was perfect. It's the same thing here. Even better because it was off of a left-hander. Cutter over the middle of the plate. Look at that. Go down and get it. Stay behind it like he does with the head down. Blue Jays get one back.
Beautiful swing, great extension by Rasmus. He had a double in last night's game. He also walked, and here he is homered. There's a base hit for Josh Tolley. He strokes it into center. Tolley's third hit of the season.
Pretty good approach right there. Stay with it right after the home run by Rasmus. Tolley comes back and stays on that pitch and hits it in the center.
This is the type of situation where a hit and run might not be a bad idea. You got Keuchel back on his heels a little bit after the home run and the base hit. I know Tolley didn't have much speed at first, and Diaz is the number 9 hitter, but it's an option.
Get the infield moving around just a little bit.
There's the hit and run. They put the hit and run on, and I agree with that 100%.
Good call. The second baseman was covering, so there was a gigantic hole on the right side. John Gibbons being a very aggressive tonight.
Well, and we talk about it. Keuchel was breezing. He'd just been staked to a 2-0 lead. Then Rasmus hits a 1-out homer. Tolley gets a single. Why not? First pitch, and they put it on. Yeah, Diaz behind 0-2.
The worst that could come out of all of that is you got a guy standing at second base and one of your hotter hitters at the plate.
Melky Cabrera, the leadoff man. Melky has doubled and hit into a double plate in 2 trips. We mentioned the Blue Jays needed to respond to the 2 runs the Astros scored, and they have. Colby Rasmus, his first home run of the season. A ball and 2 strikes on the shortstop, Jonathan Diaz. Cut on and missed. Keuchel's 4th strikeout. Second out of the inning. So that'll turn the lineup over. Melky Cabrera. Two outs. Right at the bottom of the strike zone with that hook. Cabrera pulled one inside the bag at third, and since that first at bat, Matt Dominguez has gotten closer and closer toward the third base foul line.
Why not? You got a soft tossing lefty on the mound. You got to figure he's going to try and pull him.
When Cabrera got that double in the first inning, Dominguez was much further to his left than he is right now. Keuchel set. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Tap toward third. Short hop for Dominguez, and he can't make the play. Cabrera stopped, and he is thrown out. Melky Cabrera slipped out of the box, and by the time he regrouped, he couldn't beat it out. The Astros get a break. Cabrera slips, loses his footing, and by the time he realizes it, gets to his feet, he's thrown out at first. That's a tough break for the Jays. And John Gibbons has come out of the Blue Jays dugout and makes his way toward first base. He's going to talk to the umpire, Gabe Morales, and the Astros defensive team is still on the field.
Yeah, they have to stay on the field until it's determined, as you see the sign from Marlo Hale saying, go ahead and challenge this one. Our records indicate that he was safe.
Yeah, he gave him the thumbs up, so he's going to say we want to challenge this. Now take a look at Cabrera as Mark Krause reaches for it, and the bag is, boy, that's bang bang. I don't know if I agree with that. And they're going to review it, but it looked like Cabrera was out by that replay.
Yeah, if he hits the front of the bag, he's safe. You are taught that when you go towards first base, you hit the front part of the bag, shortest distance between 2 points, straight line, and it's closer. But it looked like Melky stepped right on top of the bag, and that might have cost him.
And his timing was thrown off because he slipped and fell. And naturally, when you get out of the box and you have a normal trip to first base, you're going to hit for that front part of the bag. The crowd reaction is to the video replay that they have just seen on the Jumbotron, and this is another look. Watch the ball into the glove of the first baseman, Mark Krause. The foot is still in the air. The ball touches the glove. And that's an adjustment that has been made this year in the rules. In the past, the umpires were instructed to make sure the glove closes and that ball is secure in the glove. They react to the sound of the ball hitting the glove and the sound of the foot hitting the bag. Well, because instant replay was introduced, they changed the rule and they call him out. And by my interpretation, that's the right call. The inning is over. It's a 2-1 game. And fans, here come the Home Hardware Cleanup Crew, brought to you by Natura. Home Hardware's exclusive line of safe, environmentally friendly cleaning products. Play has impacted everybody at the ballpark. The grounds crew thought it was the third out of the inning, so they're already on the infield. And they say, whoa, 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 that's a do-over. Hold it. The inning's not over. Come on, boys. Hustle back. And then Ace is helping him out. He's leading the way. Now there are 3 outs.
Getting their sprints in tonight, aren't they? Up and back, carrying all their goodies.
Well, Melky Cabrera slipped when he hit that ground ball to third, and then Matt Dominguez booted the ball. And Cabrera, once he got to his feet, hustled down the line. But, Pat, you made a great point. If he hits the front of the bag, looks like he might have been safe.
Yeah, and you're right. You know, he stumbled out of the box, and your timing is messed up and where you're going to hit the bag, but you still try and get the front part of it. Bad break for the Blue Jays.
It's a 2-1 ball game. Both clubs scoring their first runs in the 5th inning. Robbie Grossman hit a 2-run home run, and Colby Erasmus hit his first home run of the season, a solo shot. Jason Castro got his hit leading off the 4th. That was the first hit for Houston tonight. 0-2. Way upstairs. Well, it was important for the Blue Jays to answer the Astros, and they did. They got on the board.
How big is that? Dominguez played to lead off the inning now, too. Throwing out Brett Lawrie. Looked like a base hit.
And Castro hit that right off his foot. See, he wears that shin guard. He'll do that frequently, so he puts that shin guard on his right shin. Yeah, Brett Lawrie hit a bounding ball toward third, and Dominguez went down on his knee, got up on his knees, and threw across the diamond to retire Lawrie. A terrific play to start the inning. Could have been a 2-run homer. Matt Dominguez is a gifted defender at third, and that's why last night was so unusual. He committed 2 errors in the ballgame last night.
Cost him a couple of runs, and shows you the type of defender he is.
This is a high fly ball into center. Melky Cabrera Coles takes the catch. 1 down.
The 2014 Honda CR-V. Honda, proud to be the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Beautiful shot at Rogers Center. It was a gorgeous afternoon here in Toronto, and finally there is a hint of spring in the air. There's a fly ball into right. Bautista got a good jump and runs it down. Altuve is denied an extra base hit on a fine play by Jose Bautista.
You know, a ball like that from a right-handed batter out to right field, that ball is going to slice right back to you. You have to stay with it, though. You can't give up on it because the ball's going to come right back to you. Jose with a fine running catch, and on the backhand takes away extra bases.
Altuve's hit the ball hard all series long. 2 outs. Chris Carter's got 0 for 2. He struck out to end the 4th. He goes after the first pitch, and that'll reach the seats out of play. Boy, it's a big inning for Dickey, and he seems to be focused and intent on keeping the momentum on his side.
Yeah, and getting through this inning in the fewest amount of pitches that he can. There were a lot of pitches in that 5th inning. Get out of here with a pitch count under 10.
He's had a good knuckler again tonight. Retired the first 5 to start the ball game, then gave up back-to-back walks with 2 outs in the 2nd. Got out of it when he got Robbie Grossman. Bouncing ball. Lawrie coming in front of the shortstop. Dickey, just what the doctor ordered. 3 up, 3 down. We'll go to the bottom of the 6th. Blue Jays trail by a run. the Red Sox at Yankee Stadium. On Saturday, it'll be John Lackey going to the mound for the Bo Sox against Hiroki Kuroda for the Yanks. Right here on Sportsnet. It all starts at 1 p.m. Eastern. That's 10 a.m. Pacific. Yankees and the Red Sox. Jacoby Ellsbury making his return to play against his team. He's in New York. The Red Sox come in. Ellsbury plays against his former teammates.
Got robbed already by his teammate Dustin Pedroia his first at-bat. Michael Pineda's on the mound tonight for the Yankees.
Michael Pineda is off to a good start. As Jamie mentioned, New York has a 2-0 lead, and Pineda 4 2/3, 1 hit ball, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, just like he was against the Blue Jays. Well, 2-3-4 for the Jays against Dallas Keuchel. Everybody's had a look at Keuchel now. Let's see if they can get something going here in the 6th. Astros has had a sac bunt, and he's also struck out. Takes his strike. It's 1-1.
Third time through the lineup now for the Blue Jays, and Keuchel's game plan changes a little bit. Fewer fastballs, more breaking balls.
There's that breaking ball in the dirt, and Blue Jays have done a pretty good job of laying off that hook. It's a chase pitch for Keuchel. He wants you to swing at it, and he's kept it in a good spot, but the Jays won't go fishing.
Wait till you see that high one. That's the one that's going to hang out over the plate, ready to hit.
Here's the 2-1. Boy, that's a good pitch. Turned me over, sinker, down and away. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Bautista on deck. Encarnacion in the hole.
Well, you see he's got to live on the corners, I think, to be effective. And he has done just that. Turns that sinker over to the righties. He'll cut the fastball in on their hands and throw that little curveball.
Nice play by Keuchel. He swiped at it and goes to first for the out. The Sturris out 1-3. So Bautista will step into the box. He has popped up and walked. Bautista, with 11 walks so far this season, came into the game with a .447 on base percentage. Boy, this is a good matchup here. Third at bat for Bautista. He's had a good look at what Keuchel is featuring.
And I think he's going to try and throw that cutter in there on him at times. And if he misses, I think Bautista, with that great bat speed, it's a good matchup for him. Anything away, just let it go until you get to 2 strikes. Hunt. Sit on a pitch.
2-0. Won't chase. Bautista said his goal this year is to swing at strikes, and so far he's been able to attain that goal. 3-0. Little cutter. That's not the pitch he was looking for.
That's the one he can hit out of the ballpark, though.
Encarnacion is on deck. Another walk for Bautista. He has just taken over the American League lead. He has 12 walks now. Keuchel thought he caught the inside corner. So Bautista's not afraid to pass the baton, and he's passing it to a pretty good guy.
Yeah, you have to hand it to Jose. He's going to be patient. He's going to stay in his game play. He says, you know what? If you're not going to pitch to me, you got to pitch to this guy right here. And I thought last at bat, he flew out to center field and he just missed it.
Bautista takes his lead at first. One out. Edwin goes after the first pitch. We got the meat of the order up for the Blue Jays. But Bautista at first, there's an unusual defense for Houston. Bautista had 7 steals a year ago. Look where Altuve is. Now that creates an unusual challenge for the catcher. He's looking at that second baseman coming to the bag from a different angle. This might not be a bad time for Bautista to gamble, see if he can't steal a bag.
Yeah, it's going to be tough again because Keuchel's so quick to home. He's got that slide step. Should give a sign to Edwin to let him know. I think that turning the double play is going to be a little bit tougher if you hit a ground ball to the left side.
Altuve has shortened up. He's gotten much closer to the bag at second. Ball and a strike. Broken bat pop into shallow center. VR out. Shortstop gets there and makes the grab. You mentioned Keuchel, third time through the order, using cutter a little more, and that was that last pitch that broke the bat of Encarnacion.
Yeah, fewer fastballs, more cutter/sliders. And that third time through, a few more change-ups than you see the first couple times through also.
Deanna Navarro 0 for 2 with a strikeout. Struck out to end the fourth.
It's an interesting alignment for Navarro also. Navarro can hit the ball all over the ballpark. Kind of surprised they have the 3 infielders on the left side.
We have seen exaggerated defenses throughout the first 3 series. Blue Jays use it. The opponents have used it as well. Tampa Bay, New York, and now Houston. Broken bat, and there's another pitch right in on the handle.
You know who this reminds me of? Cutters in on righties. Remember Jim Abbott with that? He was the kind of guy where you could look for the cutter, know it's coming, and still break your bat.
A left-handed Mariano Rivera.
Yeah, same kind of thing.
Robbie Alomar used to hit left-handed against Jim Abbott to take the effect of that cutter away. Jim Abbott took exception to it and punked Alomar a couple of times. Said, let's play is fair now. Come on.
Hey, that's the advantage. You know, it's tough. I mean, it looks like a fastball on the way to the plate. You start to swing, and on the next thing you know, it's just above your hands. Get a lot of broken bats that way.
1 ball, 1 strike. Bautista at first base. Another pitch right in on the hands. You can see those last 2 pitches in a very effective spot. Deanna Navarro just turned to the umpire, Hunter Wentelstedt, just to check to see where those balls are. Sometimes when you're hitting a plate, you swing at it, and you just don't really know if it's a strike or not.
It looks like a strike when you start to swing it, and then when you do it, it's off the plate. You're just getting reassurance from the home plate umpire.
Well, now he's got to protect the plate. In the dirt. Nice job by Castro.
You know what that does when you keep pounding a guy inside like that and you keep cutting the ball in there and he swings at it? What happens to that front shoulder of that hitter? It starts opening up just a little bit too quickly. That's where you can throw that good changeup or that sinker down and away. As a hitter, you got to stay disciplined. You got to say, okay, I'm going to stay on this ball. I'm going to keep that shoulder in there. If I recognize that ball in the inner half, I might have to take it.
He got the head out on that one, but that's about all you can do with that cutter when it's off the plate inside. Put it into the seats, foul. Boy, now you got to think that Keuchel and Castro are thinking about the outside part of the plate. They've got Navarro right where they want him. You've talked about the front side opening up, and that's what he did.
That's exactly what he did right there. So if you're catching, you turning that fastball over here?
Down and away. There's a pitch down and away. He reaches for it and pops out to the first base, and the Blue Jays leave a runner. We played 6. Great ball game. Houston has a 2-1 lead. 7:07 p.m. and the added treat. It's R.A. Dickey Bobblehead Day. Over 20,000 fans will receive an R.A. Dickey bobblehead when they come into Rogers Center. For tickets, call the Blue Jays at 416-341-1234 or log on to BlueJays.com. The beer vendor down the left field line, he's got to dodge some bullets every once in a while. And last inning, watch this. Ooh, look out. Hit him right in the cheek.
He didn't spill anything.
Not a drop. That's a veteran.
Don't rub it. Don't rub it.
Didn't hurt. That didn't hurt.
What a gamer.
Yeah. Extra tip for that one. Mark Krause had a good night tonight. He's walked and he doubled and scored ahead of Robbie Grossman's home run. 2-1 ball game. We're in the 7th. This ball is into left field. Melky Cabrera comes over, makes the catch, one down.
The 2014 Honda CR-V. Honda, proud to be the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
R.A. Dickey wanted a new baseball to start this at bat. Matt Dominguez has walked and grounded out. Pops it back over the screen, out of play. The hits are even at 4 apiece. 2-run home run by Robbie Grossman, a solo shot by Colby Rasmus. That's been the entire scoring tonight. For Rasmus, his first, same for Robbie Grossman.
Did they change that one now?
Yeah, they did.
Okay.
Going back into the 3rd inning, Jonathan Diaz is now credited with a hit.
Told you I wasn't going to write anything down.
Yeah. I got my white out.
You were right. You were right.
It was a hit.
Should have been a hit.
Yep. Bounced foul. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Heck of a pitcher's duel. Dickey and Dallas Keuchel. Keuchel has done this against the Jays in the past. He had 7 innings of 4-hit shutout ball the last time he pitched against the Jays down in Houston last August. Chopped foul. He's done a good job. He's mixed his pitches very effectively. He's kept the baseball out of the middle of the plate for the most part.
And this is exactly how he pitched down at in Houston the last time the Blue Jays saw him late in the year last year. Mixed his pitches up, like you said, stay out of the middle and stay on the corners. Good things are going to happen for you.
Dominguez is fouling off some tough pitches. R.A. Dickey has thrown 97 pitches tonight. This is a high fly ball to right. Bautista on the run. He's not going to get there, and the ball bounces up against the wall. Dominguez jogs into second with an opposite field double. That ball carried a long way, and it was slicing away from Bautista all the while.
Yeah, remember the Altuve hit into the gap in right center field? Right-handed batter, that ball's going to slice right back to you. Another right-handed batter. This time that ball's going to slice away from you. Bautista did everything he could to try and run that ball down, but the ball just kept carrying away from him.
Dominguez had a good at bat. He fouled off some tough knuckleballs and got one away and drove it to right. Robbie Grossman, he hit the 2-run homer in the 5th. Grossman finished up strong last year, hit over 300 in the final stages of the season.
Won that outfield job. Got off to a slow start, and Bo Porter has said, doesn't have to worry about it. He's my starting outfielder, and he will hit. Feels like he's putting a little bit too much pressure on himself to produce.
Well, the Astros put a lot of pressure on themselves throughout this series. When Grossman homered his last time up, it came with a runner in scoring position, and that snapped an Astros 0 for 23 in those situations. They had struggled to deliver a clutch hit. This time Grossman is taking his home run came on a 3-0 pitch. It was a knuckleball that he was able to square up.
Looked like he was taken all the way there.
There's ball 4. Third walk of the night issued by Dickey. 2 on, 1 out. Fans, get ready for the 2014 baseball season with MLB.TV. Watch every out-of-market regular season game live or on demand in HD quality. Watch up to 4 games at once with multi-game viewing. Season subscriptions start at $129.99. Visit BlueJays.com for more details. Well, Pete Walker, pitching coach, has made his way to the mound. Aaron Loop loosening up, and it shouldn't take him long to get ready. Dickey has thrown 103 pitches, but he has been sharp all night.
Yeah, he has. His knuckleball's had good movement on it. He has thrown it hard, and John Gibbons has got to give his ace a chance to get out of this inning and win the ball game. He'll give him a little leeway here to try and get out of this inning, get that ground ball.
So the number 9 hitter is Jonathan Villar. He has flied out twice, and he is batting right-handed against Dickey. He's done that all night. He's a switch hitter. Hits this ball high and deep into center. Rasmus looking up. This ball is gone. Jonathan Villar, a 3-run home run, his second homer of the season. And the Astros have hit a couple of big home runs here tonight.
He's got some pop in that bat, Villar. That ball kept carrying to center field. Huge hit for the Astros. Dickey hadn't given up a home run in his first 2 starts. He's given up 2 tonight, and Villar, he was waiting for that one. Like he wound up and swung as hard as he could at it.
13 home runs now for the Astros. Chicago at the start of play today had hit 12. That was the most in the American League. So the Astros, using 2 home runs, have taken a 5-1 lead. 2-run shot by Grossman in the 5th, a 3-run home run by Villar here in the 7th.
Give that man a little breathing room right there. Villar batting right-handed. Righty's hitting .316 this year against RA. So he looked at those splits and said, I think I got a better shot hitting right-handed.
There's a lot of information available to baseball clubs in this day and age. Dexter Fowler lays off that inside pitch. Fowler had a single in the 5th. He's 1 for 3. Off the glove for ball 2, 2-2. Fowler got a piece of it, and he stays alive. Esmail Rogers has taken over for Aaron Loop, and there's Loop. He's ready. Loop was just taking a break, and now he has grabbed the ball again. It'll be Rogers and Loop. They're double barrel action for the Blue Jays.
However John Gibbons wants to go about this, there's Lefty Presley on deck. And then Castro. Nice.
That's the slow knuckleball. Dexter Fowler didn't agree with it. 2 down now. Let's check in with Jamie Campbell. Abreu started today tied for the American League lead in RBIs. He was tied with Chris Colabello of the Twins. That's a fair ball. Nice play by Encarnacion, and Dickey gets there ahead of Presley. So the inning comes to an end, but another home run by the Astros, a 3-run shot by VR. Houston leads at 5-1. To over 100 of the world's best magazines on your tablet. Baseball fans, sign up at nextissue.ca/baseball and get an extended 60-day free trial. So check it out today. 7th inning stretch here at Rogers Center. Houston has gone long ball tonight. 2 home runs. That's been the difference in the game. A 2-run homer in the 5th by Robbie Grossman. A 3-run home run in the 7th by Jonathan Leon. Kobe Rasmussen has homered for the Blue Jays, so all the runs tonight coming on the long ball.
Got to start figuring out Dallas Keuchel right here. You're at the bottom of the lineup. The last 4 hitters in the lineup put together some at-bats here, some good at-bats. Turn the lineup over. You got to get back into this game.
Laurie Rasmussen, Tolley. Laurie takes a strike. Kobe Rasmus has struck out and homered. His first home run of the season was a long shot to center. 0-2. Keuchel continues to work the edges. Three in a row. Laurie didn't like the call. Hunter Wendelstedt rings him up. 1 down here in the bottom of the 8th. That'll bring to the plate Kobe Rasmus.
Doubled in last night's game, got another extra base hit. Pitch that was down, and he went down and got it. Stayed behind that one. Keuchel struck him out his first time up, went back to the same pitch, and he smoked it out of the ballpark.
Boy, he has been throwing quality pitches all night long. Blue Jays have managed just 4 hits. That was the hit total the last time Keuchel shut down the Blue Jays. Came last August in Houston at Minute Maid Park. He went 7 innings, shut out the Blue Jays on just 4 hits.
And that 3-run home run seems to have energized him. He ran out there. He got ready quickly. He wants the ball. thrown 5 pitches this inning, all of them strikes.
Keuchel is 26 years old. And the Astros believe they have the makings of a competitive ball club. And it all starts right here on the hill. You got to have good pitching before you can even consider moving up, winning games, becoming competitive.
Well, he's one of their guys. He pitched at the University of Arkansas. He was a 7th-round draft pick in 2009. Made his way up through the organization. Did a nice job last year. He's looking to take a big step this year.
Jason Castro wanted that last pitch. He really gave the umpire a good look. He held that ball as long as he could.
You know, he led the American League in ground ball to fly ball ratio last year. There's lots of strikes and keeps it down.
Rasmus drives it down the left side. Grossman will run out of room. R.A. Dickey been very good tonight. A couple of pitches have been the difference. Another 3-2 pitch to Colby Erasmus. Breaking ball, hits it high but well foul down the right side. That's that curveball that they've been waiting on all night long, the one that's high.
Yeah, and that one was up. You can see it a little bit better as a hitter. And just missed that one. Just a little bit too quick on that one.
Up the middle. Colby Erasmus smoked that fastball.
Good at bat right there from Colby. Saw everything that Keuchel had to offer and stayed with it. Hit that front shoulder in there and hit another ball hard.
So Eric Kratz will come to the plate. He's going to hit for Josh Tolley, which suggests that Dickey's night may have come to an end. Tolley was 1 for 2 in his 2 at-bats. He had a single into center. We're in the 7th. Blue Jays are down by 4. But the Astros, they just seem to play 3 men on the infield. If you're right-handed, they're going to play 3 on the left side. If you're left-handed, they're going to play 3 on the right side.
Just playing the percentages. You got one of the best ground ball pitchers in baseball right here. So play the percentages.
Will Porter in his 2nd season as the skipper of the Astros. High fly ball into shallow right. Alex Presley coming in. Kratz is retired. The pitch tracker is brought to you by Acer. Acer is the official partner of the Toronto Blue Jays. Acer is provided that pitch tracker. It's been very good tonight to give us an opportunity to watch the knuckleballs and watch Dallas Keuchel keep the ball on the edges of that strike zone. So the Blue Jays are going to send up another pitch hitter, Jonathan Diaz. Ends up 1 for 2. He had an infield hit in the 3rd, struck out in the 5th. Brent Strom is the pitching coach, and generally when the pitching coach comes out in this situation, it's nothing more than a scouting report. Just a reminder, they haven't seen Moises Sierra a lot, so I want to make sure that Keuchel has a good idea of how to go after him.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. They haven't seen Sierra. There's Chad Qualls, the veteran who's throwing in the bullpen. John Givens starting to empty his bench, try to get something going here against Keuchel. Just one left-hander in the bullpen for the Houston Astros. So you got to play your hand right now.
Sierra steps in against Keuchel. 2 outs. Sierra is 0 for 8 so far this season. Taking all the way and watches one miss down low. First pinch hit appearance for Sierra. Again, Keuchel not making any mistakes.
No, right on the edges of the corner. Yeah, Sierra's just a little tardy on that one.
Pulled foul outside of third. Downstairs. This is the second start of the season for Keuchel. He's now thrown 99 pitches. You wouldn't expect that he would extend himself much beyond the 7. Full count. Keuchel threw a complete game. His only complete game. It came back in 2012. Game against the Cleveland Indians. Gave up 6 hits in 9 innings.
Just 5 innings in his first start of the season. So I'm real happy with what they've seen so far.
Cut on and missed. Sierra strikes out. The inning will come to an end. Blue Jays leave another base runner. We'll go to the 8th. Esmiel Rogers will take over for R.A. Dickey. Blue Jays are down 5-1. Hits 5 earned runs, gave up a couple of home runs. He walked 3 and struck out 4. And we thought we'd take a look at the starters. When they're good, they're real good, and when they're bad, boy, it happens quickly.
Look at the differential in the ERA in the wins and losses. Blue Jays have the highest in baseball, 10 ERA difference between their wins and losses, and that's right. You said it. When they pitch well, they win ball games. When they lose, the pitchers are not very good.
Yeah, the differential is the interesting part, and the ERA is 10 runs higher when they don't have their A game. Esmiel Rogers comes in after he pitched 2/3 of an inning in last night's game. He's trying to close this game out.
Yep, finish this one off on a good note. Some other teams on that list, Buck, that are interesting is the Dodgers differential. They're fourth in baseball with the highest differential.
Eric Kratz pinch hit for Josh Tolle. He's behind the plate. Ryan Goins into the ball game defensively as Jonathan Diaz was also pinched hit for. Jason Castro is 1 for 3, but boy, he's had a good night behind the plate. Done a terrific job of calling pitches for Dallas Keuchel. They have baffled the Blue Jays on just 1 run on 5 hits.
Got the game's first hit for the Astros back in the 4th inning. You're right, he is set up nicely behind the plate. He has called a good game. Keuchel has executed his pitches. He's an all-star. Set a lot of records for the Astros last year as a catcher.
Offensive records, doubles and runs scored. A nice job. Picks breaking ball strike. The Astros have hit 2 home runs here tonight. That gives them 13 for the season. Chicago White Sox had 12 at the start of play today. They've hit 2 more tonight. Jose Abreu and Alexi Ramirez. Abreu number 3, Ramirez number 2. There's a drive deep to right. Bautista only watches. This ball's in the seats for Jason Castro. 3rd home run of the night for Houston, and they have tied the Chicago White Sox for the league in home runs in the American League.
When this series started, both of these teams really relied on the home run ball to score them runs. Astros had the highest percentage of their runs scored via the home run. Blue Jays were 4th, and every run tonight that the Astros have scored has come because of this, a home run. That one's not coming back to right field. Looked like he tried to slip a fastball by him.
Castro's 2nd homer of the season. Houston has scored 6 runs tonight, all on home runs, and the Blue Jays, their only run, also came on a home run. Jose Altuve has been shut out so far tonight. He's 0 for 3.
Might be a spot right here for Esmiel to try that new splitter. He picked up a splitter this year. This might be a good time for it. Try and get a punch out.
Broken bat, 1 hopper, nasty spin. Altuve beats it up. Isturiz made a nice play. That ball was off the end of the bat. It had a lot of spin on it, and when it hit, it kicked to the right of Isturiz. And Altuve, hustling out of the box, gets his first knock of the night.
Some serious English on that ball. Breaking ball down and away. Here comes Asturias in between. Should I try and catch it? No. And the ball bounces away from him, and you're not going to get the runner like Altuve. He beats it out. Infield single. Not much Meiser could have done on that one.
Chris Carter, the DH. Carter is 0 for 3. The Astros will head back to Texas after this game. They'll fly to Arlington to take on the Rangers starting tomorrow night. The Blue Jays, we mentioned, they will go to Baltimore. It'll be Dustin McGowan against Chris Tillman on Friday night. Drew Hutchison, he's drawn Bud Norris on Saturday, and Mark Burley, the veteran, will tee it up against Ubaldo Jimenez on Sunday. 3-game series against the American League East rivals, Baltimore Orioles.
Yeah. See what the Blue Jays get in the Orioles. They've had their problems with them in the last couple of years.
The Orioles have a beefed up lineup. Delman Young and Nelson Cruz, a couple of potent right-handed bats, have been added to an already dangerous Orioles lineup. Matt Wieters is off to a great start. Switch hitting catcher.
Did you see what Adam Jones said about Tanaka the other day? He's nothing special. You should be asking him about me. I've been the one who's been in the big leagues the last couple of years. Someone asked him after the game yesterday what he thought of Tanaka.
And so he says, go ask Tanaka what he thinks of Adam Jones.
That's right. Nothing special. That's how it is in the American League East.
It is certainly a star-studded division when you look at the teams that comprise the American League East. The Red Sox are loaded. They're the reigning world champs. The Yankees have stars, and Michael Pineda is pitching another good ball game for New York tonight. He goes 6 innings, allows 4 hits, walked 2 and struck out 7. He's now out of the game. Clay Buchholz, 6 innings of work. Carter strikes out. Rogers customers can watch the Blue Jays on Sportsnet live on your smartphone. Visit RogersAnyPlaceTV.com/sports to get started. Howard Starkman was honored with his name and at number 38. Howard Starkman, the former media director of the Toronto Blue Jays, 38 years with the Blue Jays, and he has retired. He said, today is my last day of work, and congratulations to Howard Starkman for an outstanding career. The Blue Jays have a new honor, and they have established a new award. It'll be the Howard Starkman Award to honor the Employee of the Year in the Blue Jays organization. That's a great tribute to a fine man.
Yes, richly deserved. That's great.
Mark Krause has been instrumental in the ball game tonight. He was the first Astro to reach back in the second. He had a 2-out walk. Then he had a leadoff double in the 5th. That set up the 2-run home run by Robbie Grossman. Looking ahead, be the top of the order for the Blue Jays in the bottom of the 8th. Cabrera, Stewart, and Bautista.
Some action still down to that Houston bullpen. That tells us that Dallas Keuchel's night might be finished. Hope so. He's been good. Get him out of here.
Pulled foul. Well, we mentioned the last start Keuchel had. He went 7 innings, 4 hits, shut out the Blue Jays, and he left leading 1-0 against Mark Burley. The Blue Jays scored 2 runs in the top of the 9th to win it 2-1. He might be reluctant to leave.
It's up over 100 pitches. And you said it last, did he? He threw 90 his first start of the season. You don't want to overdo it early in the year. Just his second start.
Back-to-back strikeouts for Rogers after giving up a leadoff home run and a single. Krause caught looking. So they're 2 down. Matt Dominguez had a double his last time up. He's 1 for 2 with a walk. Breaking ball for a strike. That's foul down the third baseline. Well, if this score stands, the Blue Jays will finish up 3-3 on the 6-game homestand. And if you're going to establish yourself in the East, you have to sweep series. You have to take advantage of teams you should beat. Ismael Rogers strikes out the side after giving up a leadoff home run. The Blue Jays will bat in the 8th. Houston has a 6-1 lead. Now it's time for Blue Jays Central Update. Here's Jamie Campbell and Greg Zahn. Reserve seat right here at Rogers Center. Season tickets are available, and there are plenty of great seats still available. Call the Blue Jays today at 416-341-1234 or log online to BlueJays.com to order up your 2014 Blue Jays season tickets. That youngster right there would love to have one. Got his Blue Jays shirt on tonight. Hopeful of a Blue Jays comeback, and they'll have to do it against the right-hander Chad Qualls.
Now in his 10th big league season, Chad Qualls has been around on a lot of different organizations. Sinker, slider, he'll throw strikes. Qualls was picked up because they really made an effort to get some veterans to the back end of that bullpen. They lost so many ball games last year late in a ball game. 26 times they had leads in the 9th inning and lost it, so they wanted to get a veteran. Qualls fills the bill.
Nothing more deflating for a young starting staff than to pitch well, have a lead, and watch it slip through your fingers. So Qualls is on to provide some stability back end of the pen. He's got a tough assignment, top of the Jays order. He delivers a strike to Melky Cabrera. Cabrera has extended his hit streak to 10 straight. R.A. Dickey victimized by the long ball, a 2-run homer and a 3-run homer. He gave the Blue Jays 7 innings of 6-hit pitching tonight. Cabrera drives it into the alley in left center. Dexter Fowler gets there and cuts it off. Cabrera is headed for second. He's in there. A hustle double by Melky Cabrera. His second hit of the night.
And his second double of the night. Against Chad Qualls, you got to make him get that ball up. Told you, sinker, slider, make him get it up. This one is up, and Melky stays right with it. Hits it in the left center field. Fowler cuts it off and makes a throw quickly back into the infield, but Melky's thinking double all the way. Nice little hook slide to get himself that double. He's thinking 2 right now. Quick glance at the bag.
Meiser Astros 0 for 2 with a sac bunt. He takes strike 1.
Here's that slide that we were just talking about. Altuve's diving in. You got to go to the inside part of the bag and hold on, just like Deanna Navarro did last night. Grab the corner of that bag and it'll stay there for you.
Great shot of the umpire, Mike Estabrook, moving around to get the best vantage point. On the ground, Cabrera goes back to second. VR to Krause, and Astros is retired. Dallas Keuchel, starter for Houston, pitched very well tonight. 7 innings. He gives up 5 hits, Single earned run. That was on the Erasmus home run. Walked 2 and struck out 6.
Yeah, not really known as a strikeout pitcher, but he was hitting his spots tonight. He had the changeup, the cutter, and the fastball working, a little bit of a curveball. And the Blue Jays confused at times as they swung through a lot of pitches.
Jose Bautista steps in against Chad Qualls. Bautista has walked twice tonight.
We were talking about the Astros and why they brought in some of these veteran pitchers. And you made a great point about nothing more deflating to a team than losing games late in the season. They had 14 players make their major league debut last year, so they needed some veteran leadership on this team.
Dexter Fowler provides that from a position player point of view. Comes over from Colorado, and he's a terrific teammate. Switch hitter, hits in the leadoff spot, plays great defense, and he has been an upgrade for sure as far as experience and stability.
Jesse Crane is on this team. He is on the disabled list right now.
Ball and a strike to Bautista. Way out in front. Jose has a home run against Chad Qualls. One and two. Good breaking ball in a tough spot. Bautista strikes out. Fans, we want to let you know, coming up after the game, Connected will have the latest on Brendan Shanahan. Sportsnet's Damian Cox is reporting that Shanahan is set to join the Leafs as the club president. And we'll have a full story plus analysis from our Hockey Central panel right after the Blue Jays baseball game. That's big news in the hockey world, of course. 2 outs. Edwin Encarnacion has gone 0 for 3. High bouncing ball. Matt Dominguez at third across the diamonds, and the Blue Jays go quietly in the 8th. We'll go to the 9th. Houston trying to salvage the final game of this 3-game set. Todd Redmond into the ball game for the Jays. Todd Redmond will make his 3rd appearance of the season. Redmond had an extended outing on Sunday against the New York Yankees. He entered the ball game in the 4th inning and pitched 3 2/3 of 3 hits, scoreless relief. He had 5 strikeouts against the Yankees.
And that is what his job description is. Come in when the starter gets knocked out early and give some quality innings. 5 punch-outs and 3 2/3 against the Yanks.
Robbie Grossman got it all started for Houston. He had a 2-run home run in the 5th. He walked and scored in the 7th. Grossman, when he connected for that home run, was 2 for 33.
Struggling out of the gate. And we were saying it. Sometimes you put pressure on yourself. You try just a little bit too hard to put up some numbers. The reporter said, "Hey, you're my guy. Just go out there and relax."
2-2. Esmail Rogers worked an inning, gave up a home run, a couple of hits. He struck out the side. On Jason Castro hit a leadoff home run, and Jose Altuve had an infield single, and then Carter, Krause, and Dominguez all struck out against Rogers. Robbie Grossman takes the leadoff walk. Drive of the Game is brought to you by the 2014 Honda CR-V. Honda, proud to be the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Jonathan Villar got his first taste of the big leagues last year. Got 210 at-bats, hit 1 home run. This is his 2nd of the season already. 3-run home run to dead center field against R.A. Dickey in a big 3-run 7th inning. Tonight's drive of the game.
Villar batting left-handed for the first time tonight. His 3 at-bats against R.A. Dickey, the switch hitter, hit right-handed. And it led to that 3-run homer in the 7th. Well, he's got a nice swing.
Got some bat speed.
He's 22 years old, and he's got a bright future.
Picked him up from the Phillies organization in a trade.
Hunter Pensteal a couple years ago. This time he cuts right through that fastball and strikes out. First out of the inning. Mentioned Redmond had 5 strikeouts on Sunday in his relief outing. Came against the Yankees.
Fastball, a little bit of a breaking ball, and he throws one of those split changes like we saw Brandon Morrow throw last night.
There's strike 1 to the leadoff man, Dexter Fowler. Pulled foul. It's 0-2. Fowler got off to a great start with his new team, the Astros. Went 6 for 12 against the Yankees in the 3-game series opener. In a 3-game series down there in Houston, and he got sick. He had a stomach virus. He ended up in the hospital on Friday night and missed the entire Angels series. Ground ball. Laurie goes to second. Goins over to first, and a nice double play. Ryan Goins made a strong turn at second that closes out the top of the 9th. We'll go to the bottom of the 9th. Blue Jays down by 5. Sports Connected on Ontario and West, and lots of great news about the Toronto Maple Leafs, and they'll cover it all for you on Connected. And on Pacific, it's Hockey Central, and they will break down the announcement. Damian Cox is reporting that Brendan Shanahan will join the Leafs as the club's new president, and Hockey Central will break it all down. Coming right up after this ball game. Josh Fields into the game after Chad Qualls worked a good inning in the 8th.
Blue Jays saw him on Tuesday night. Fields has a good arm, good fastball, good overhand curveball. He's a rookie last year. Converted 5 of 6 save opportunities for the Astros. And they really haven't named a closer yet, but this guy projects for me as a closer.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think they need to name a closer, obviously. Just pitch, and the more outs you get, the more big innings you'll get. It'll be the DH Deanna Navarro, down 0-4-3 tonight. Takes one inside. It's Navarro, Laurie, and Rasmus. Blue Jays have just one bat on the bench. That's Adam Lind. He has not appeared. They have used 2 pinch hitters, Sierra and Kratz, and Ryan Goins came in as a defensive replacement, so they are down to Lind.
He's got a big arm, Fields, but he can walk people. Told you he came in on Tuesday and walked a couple of batters in that inning.
For the season, this is the 4th appearance for Josh Fields. He has 2 walks in 3 total innings of work. Ball 3, 3-0. Leadoff man batting here in the bottom of the 9th. Four straight wide ones, and Navarro will take a walk. Man at first, nobody out. Now it's time for a preview of what's coming up on Connected. Here's Ken Reed, the Milwaukee Osman. Thank you, Ken and Ivanka, and Hockey Central will break down that Maple Leafs news. Brendan Shanahan appears to be set to be named the new president of the Maple Leafs. Coming up right after this ball game, Brett Lawrie 0-for-3. Rasmus waits on deck. Went to the breaking ball, and he is able to throw a strike.
Not a bad idea right there. He was wild with the fastball up and away. Change it up a little bit. Throw curveball. Get that hand on top of the baseball.
Another fastball way out. Fields got into 41 games a year ago. As Pat mentioned, he picked up 5 saves. Fields has bounced around a little in his young career. He has played for Seattle. He went from Seattle to the Boston Red Sox along with Eric Bedard. Part of a 3-team deal at the trade deadline in July of 2011. Lawrie foul tips it. Castro's able to hold on. That's the first out of the bottom of the 9th.
Yeah, he shows you a pretty good fastball right there. Climbing the ladder, got ahead with the breaking ball, and then a couple of fastballs up to Brett Lawrie as he strikes out for the 2nd time. That 3-team trade that you're talking about, the Dodgers did pretty well in that 3-teamer.
The Dodgers got Tim Fedorovich from Boston, who is now catching for the Dodgers. Steven Fife and Juan Rodriguez. And it's interesting. Anytime you can pull off a 3-team trade in July, that takes a lot of work.
Yeah. In July, Mariners did their homework picking him up as a Rule 5 guy out of the Red Sox organization.
Little flare down the left side. Dominguez giving chase. That's going to drop. Kobe Erasmus has a 3-hit game. He homered in the 5th. Drilled a single into center in the 7th. Now he has his 3rd hit of the night.
Hey, you're just looking for base runners right now. You're down by 5 runs. Any way you can get on. Colby just dumps it out of the reach of Dominguez, who was pulled around. Take those every night.
Eric Kratz pinch hit in the 7th inning and flied out to right field. So he comes to the plate for a 2nd time. Adam Lind, the final Blue Jay on the bench, has grabbed the bat, made his way to the on-deck circle. Kratz would love to keep the line moving here. 1st and 2nd, 1 out.
That's the whole idea. You're just trying to put together some at-bats here, get on base. I'm sure the Blue Jays are still taking a strike here. Force Fields into the strike zone.
Fields has been up with all of his fastballs. So they go to the breaking ball. That's the only pitch he's really been able to get down. Generally, when you have a pitcher that's a power pitcher like Fields and he's reaching for that fastball, that front shoulder will fly open. You call the breaking ball, and that'll make him focus on staying on top.
Yeah, get that hand on top of that baseball.
There he finds the outside corner. A ball and 2 strikes. Blue Jays trying to rally here in the 9th. Pretty good pitch. He stayed on that pitch and stays alive.
Stayed together over the mound just a little bit longer. Threw a good fastball, about 95. So as a hitter, you're just battling right now. See the baseball before you stride.
Breaking ball hit on the ground towards short. BR has 1 play. That's the 1st. Kratz is retired and the runners move up, but the Blue Jays are down to their final out. So with runners at 2nd and 3rd, Adam Lind will come to the plate. Lind is the last position player available. He's the 3rd Jay to pinch hit tonight.
All of them down here in the order. We saw Kratz in the 7th. Sierra in the 7th. Now Lindy here in the 9th.
Lind has been swinging the bat well. He did not start this game, with Dallas Keuchel, left-hander, making the start. The breaking ball has been effective for Fields, and it's allowed him to get ahead of Lind.
Made a nice adjustment, hasn't he? 4 wide ones to Navarro to lead off the inning, all fastballs. Behind Brett Lawrie, and then started using that curveball early in the count.
Up and away. He just hasn't had real good command of that fastball, but you can see he's got a lot of life on it. Lynn trying to keep the Blue Jays' hopes alive. Ari Dickey goes 7 innings. Dallas Keuchel, he too went 7 innings. 2 starters in this game. 95 with the heater.
I think he had a little movement on that one also. Helped in the strike zone. I thought R.A. Dickey threw the ball well tonight except for 2 mistakes. That was it.
2-run home run to Robbie Grossman and a 3-run home run to the Astros shortstop Jonathan Villar. Dickey threw 7 innings of 6 hit ball, but he's tagged with 5 earned runs. 1-2, 2 outs. Hunter Wendelstedt gave that one a good look. Melky Cabrera is on deck. Cabrera has hit a pair of doubles tonight. He's extended his hit streak to 10 straight to start the season. His average at .341. Good eye.
Got to challenge him, don't you?
Navarro walked to start the inning. Colby Erasmus hit a bloop single, his 3rd hit of the night. He's had a 3-for-4 night, including his first home run of the season. Josh Fields trying to close things out. Melky Cabrera lurks on deck.
There's the challenge fastball right there. This is where you just say, I'm going to throw it as hard as I can. If you hit it out of the ballpark, you hit it out of the ballpark. I don't want to walk you.
Fields has a cushion. He's pitching with a 5-run lead. Lynn drives it into the alley in left center. That's going to go all the way to the wall. Navarro's in to score. Rasmus right behind him, and Lynn delivers. A 2-run, 2-out double.
Yeah, and a good veteran hitter knows that. He knows that he's got to come to him. He's not going to throw any tricks up there. Fastball down the middle. What an at-bat by Adam Lynn, who took a couple of close pitches with 2 strikes, and then knows that he's got to come in there with a fastball, and he's waiting for it. Rips it into left field for a couple of RBIs.
RBIs number 5 and 6 as Navarro and Rasmus come in to score. Leadoff walk. Hurts Josh Fields, and that pinch double by Lind has knocked Fields out of the game. 2 hits and a walk, and he'll turn things over to the bullpen. Blue Jays make it interesting here in the ninth. They've scored a pair of runs. It's a 6-3 game, and Bo Porter has gone to the bullpen once again. It's Anthony Bass making his third appearance of the season.
88, 92 mile an hour fastball from Bass. He's a strike thrower. He gives up his share of hits. When he's out there, you can see right-handers have hit him at a 375 clip, and the ERA just over 7. His tight little slider, decent changeup, overhand curveball. So Blue Jays taking their first look at Anthony Bass this season.
Bass has been ports of the last 3 seasons in the big leagues with the San Diego Padres. Melky Cabrera has a pair of doubles tonight. And he'll take a look at that first pitch. It's a strike. Lind at second. Hit a 2-run double as a pinch hitter. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Good breaking ball.
That's that overhand curveball. He's a strike thrower. He's going to be around the plate. He's got a little cutting action on that slider. So he has the ability to set up hitters. That's the guy we're hoping to get up this inning right there.
Bounced in the dirt. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Meiser Astros is on deck. Rally caps are out at Rogers Center. 15,778 in attendance. It's the homestand finale. Blue Jays trying to rally in the ninth. And the ball in the dirt. Bass gets a visit from Tasker.
Just to calm him down just a little bit. Altuve is going to come in to find out what's going on. This is a team that's played a lot of close ball games over the last 2 years, the Houston Astros.
Bass has 1 career save. It came back in 2012 with the Padres. It's his first save opportunity of this season. The Astros will head to Dallas, take on the Texas Rangers in Arlington tomorrow night. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Cabrera nubs it off the end of the bat. Bass makes a high throw, and it's down the right field line into the seats. Lind will come in to score. Cabrera will end up at second. Bass took his time and then airmailed the first baseman, and the Blue Jays have life here in the ninth.
And now high run to the plate. He's got time. He backhands the ball. He just doesn't really crow hop. He spikes that right foot and then airmails it to first base. He needed 1 more step on the crow hop. You see the inside out swing right there. Step and throw, and he throws it away.
It's an air all the way charge to Anthony Bass. Meiser Astros. He's 0 for 3 at a sacrifice bunt in the first. Collars are getting a little tight around the Astros. The big man is on deck. Off the glove, and Bass will this time flip underhand, and the Blue Jays fall short in their 9th inning comeback. They score 3, but Houston manages to salvage the final game of the series. A couple of big home runs, Robbie Grossman and Jonathan Villar. So coming right up, Ontario and West, it's connected. Hockey Central on Pacific. Lots of news about the Toronto Maple Leafs. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow night from Baltimore. First of 3 against the Orioles.